Hello again. So I've made a little bit of progress on this program. There's still some modifications I want to make before I post my newer version. For instance, where Loga and some guys on the Realism Overhaul IRC linked me to some better code for the hold down clamps, because for instance for solids it doesn't need to hold them down for 5 seconds, and for everything else 5 seconds is not the ideal. Anyway, so I want to make that modification. But I mostly want to show kind of some, just record some bugginess I have. Like, it's actually behaving really well. This my program now will nearly get a Gemini 2 Titan right to orbit, and it will get an Atlas to orbit pretty easily. It'll get a Titan 3C to orbit. I think it's either 2C or 3C, whatever it is. But a number of different vehicles, and it's working over a not too bad of a range of things. And with those continuous functions, I was just basically wanted to do a quick test today to see if it was okay with those continuous functions, if I could, if I was competent enough with kOS language yet to plug those in. But I created some continuous functions just through the numbers, if ETA APO is less than 30, set the pitch to 5, and just threw those numbers, 30 and 5, 90 and 0, etc., into Excel, had it fit it, took out a function that fit okay, and just use a continuous function instead of that step one. And also, I used one of those continuous functions in my modes here, so you should see relatively. Oh, did I save that? Yeah, we'll see. It might show. So mode 2 might show mode 2 pitch mode now, or pitch mod, rather, because I found I wanted to calculate that, not necessarily use it during mode 2, because mode 2 is pretty early, just after the atmosphere stops being really thick. And I didn't want to directly use this number, because obviously I don't want to be pitched 2 degrees below the horizon. But I realized that it may be a pretty useful value to use as a modifier for the existing pitch that's coming out of the other equation. Right, I haven't reversed those yet. Fair enough. And so here it's, pitch mod is minus 2 degrees. So it's basically taking the function it was using before, and then it's modifying it by that. And so that's constantly recalculating. I find it helps a bit with the shape of the function. Still, by no means perfect things, but a lot of progressive experimentation so far. Let me drop off that cover, don't need it anymore. But I wanted to record this kind of some weird stuff that happens later on. So let's see. So this is 2 pitch mod. So right now it's just this kind of static function. It's a function of the ship's surface velocity magnitude. And after that it goes to using those continuous functions that I've defined rather than the steps that it used to have. But right near the end, I haven't replaced that for mode 4 and mode 5. That right before it gets to orbital velocity. I think mode 4 is kicking in. So I just wanted to record 2 pitch mod. Yeah, I just wanted to record what happens right at the end there, so I can kind of do some analysis of it and figure out how best to move those over to functions, because they're kind of weird. They're weird values. Part of the problem is the way I like to think. I would like to think of like time to APO. Once you're past it, let's say it gets down to 0 seconds, and then it gets out to, jumps to a really large number, right? The way I'd prefer to think of it is a negative number, right? I'm like 1 second just past APO or 2, and that's not what it calculates. I might be able to generate a function to do that, but part of the fact that I have my my pitch mod as a basis, it's one active variable is the time to APO. And so in order for it to behave well, both before and after that, I need to kind of redefine the function or change something about it. So that's why I haven't switched to a continuous function for those last couple of modes. So where are we? Fin mode, 2 pitch mod. Really, we're still in that mode. Okay, so let me light this next stage. Interesting. It's been quite a bit of time in that mode. There we go. And yeah, like I can obviously see things. There we go, 2.5 log mode. So now it's moved into a mode where this angle is explicitly being set by my pitch mod function. And let's take a look at this. So that's how much time until we hit APO. That's how much time till burnout, which would roughly be enough for orbital velocity. So I know this function isn't optimal for this use case. Ideally, like I do want to write code that can look at the amount of thrust the engine's getting, figure out what fuels it's burning, and then be able to calculate how much time is left in the stage. I did a bit of experimentation with that a few weeks ago, but it kind of ran into some issues where sometimes this number was reporting incorrectly, particularly if stages further up are actually burning the same fuel later on. So sometimes it would report properly and sometimes it wouldn't. So for some stages that would work nicely and some it wouldn't. So before I dig into re-refining that, which I might do this weekend, but I might not, because that would be ideal if I could make my program aware to compare this number to this number, which is what I actually do. Let me see here. There we go. What I visually do myself is compare this number to this number, and I'd like my program to do the same thing as well. Because if it could do that, if the kind of the next step of intelligence in my program, rather than just adding more variables like easily measured, like altitude or velocity or time to apo, things like that, rather than simple metrics like that, if instead it could pay attention to this, then that's a whole new ballgame. I could make a much more complex function. So rather than me defining these different continuous functions in different velocity ranges, I could instead just have one function, kind of a master function, which I then kind of stack or multiply or use modifiers for. And so as you can see, it's going through here. That's what I'll be paying attention to when I watch this back. It's going through these different modes, and it kind of has different functions. They're not one mathematical weakness of them right now is when I go between two different velocity regimes. Let me see. Yeah, when I go between two different ranges, it's not continuous pitch. When it switches from mode to mode, it's not getting the same pitch from those functions. So if it's being told to be pitched up to 5, it gets handed to another function. It's not getting the same result, so it's not continuous in that way between the two. But that isn't causing me any hassle right now. What might be, though, is when it switches between modes, maybe 3 log like this one now, and then the next one, which is mode 4. I'm seeing mode 4 and 5. Yeah, mode 4 and or mode 5 behaving really crazy, and that's what I want to keep an eye on here. So this is still one of those functions. So that works okay. Not great. It's just going to whip around because it didn't hit 200, which is what I had set as my circularizing orbit. It's like that both of these values had to be above 200, which I probably don't want. I could probably set it to maybe if one of them is over that, sufficient or something. I just need to think about it. But that's why it whipped around there, it looks like. I wasn't quite sure if it was just function 4 being bad. Looks like I may not even need a function 5, which only kicks in when I'm above 7,700 meters per second, which it looks like I just don't need. So note to self. But yeah, just wanted a quick recording of my function as it evolves. Might post this, might not, probably will, just because I put a lot of kind of detail and notes into the discussion. But yeah, late today or maybe tomorrow I'll post another version of this with these continuous functions, and I will definitely not post it until I fix. There we go. Let me just dump that transfer stage. So we got into orbit with that, which is pretty awesome. All I had to do was stage it, and the staging was pretty easy. I could probably automate some types of staging pretty readily, particularly when I can accurately calculate or estimate time until stage burnout. Then I could very easily set up an option to stage it itself. It's just useful to not have that set right now, particularly when I'm testing with an Atlas vehicle where I kind of need to decide when to stage it myself. Anyway, thanks for watching. As this program progresses, and I'll post this video with an improved version of the code, so I'll post it maybe late today or tomorrow with at least the launch clamp thing fixed, where it takes a look at what your thrust is and then decides to release the clamps there, rather than the way it is now, which is turn on engines, wait 5 seconds, release, which is it functions airtime, but not optimal at all. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.